My role with Southern IronMom, obviously beyond being her husband, I have to take on the role of being her coach.
3, 2, 1, go! And the first try day is off.
That can be kind of tricky, as you might imagine, walking the fine line of trying to be a tough coach at times, and still, obviously, I have to be her husband, so if she gets mad at me, I don't want to end up on the couch.
Can't get it.
You will. Relax.
I think that for the most part, she accepts whenever we're into training mode that I'm going to give her advice and try to coach her along and push her to continue pushing beyond what she feels comfortable doing, but do it in a safe way. And honestly, through this journey from last year to now, the best part about the whole thing for me has just been watching her grow as a person, approaching these goals.
This is me running alongside Alicia. We're at mile 14. We're gonna finish. We're gonna finish.
Last year when she came up just shy, for me, it was not a moment where I was disappointed by any means. In fact, it was quite the opposite. I had this feeling of completion, that she had really stepped way beyond her comfort zone and went after something way bigger than she ever thought possible. And so I wasn't really thinking about, well, she'll go and do another one. But it didn't take any time. In fact, I believe we were on our way home from that race when she says, I've got to try this again. I was like, yeah, let's do it. But when I started thinking about back in that day, just the excitement, the power, the energy, I was like, wow, man, you know, you really gave it a good go, but I know we can do this. She wanted to do it. I was like, yeah, so if you let me just coach you, we can do this. And she was like, yeah, let's do it. And so we started devising a game plan from that point. So this past weekend, we decided we would put her training to the test and kind of see where she was at with all that she's been doing. She was going to do a 1.5 mile swim in open water and then transition to a 50-mile bike and finish with an 8-mile run. So when we got out to the lake, water was really calm. It was a beautiful day, very sunny, but the water temp was kind of cool. She was a little bit concerned about that, and the water level was up, which the reason why that matters is it had a lot of debris floating in the water. Very difficult to see anything beyond a few inches underneath the surface. And it was her first big open water swim and training day since the Ironman, so she was nervous about that as well, to see how she would perform.
Just a little bit of anxiety, but I'll be fine in just a few minutes once I get going.
Get that bright sun out of your face.
Yeah. At least the water's smooth. I don't want to fight any waves today.
3, 2, 1, go! And the first try day is off.
She got out there, jumped in, started swimming, and maybe a minute into it, she kind of had to pause and look around and get her bearings and kind of get her nerve up, because whenever you start putting your head underwater and you can't see anything, it does make you feel claustrophobic. She continued to push with that, continued to swim. Really, once she got about 20 minutes into it, she hit her stride and she was doing really well. She got out to the halfway point and turned around, and then she really made up some time. I think she could sense that she was on the back half, and that motivated her, so she kicked it up a notch.
Are you trying to run over me?
No, you're running over me. I've got this thing turned all the way and you're coming straight at me. I like how she tries to put it on me, typical one. Coaching your wife has its pitfalls, trust me. Don't you worry about what I'm saying, you just keep swimming, lady. You're at 1 hour and 8 minutes.
59 minutes by my watch.
Yeah, well, I had a time stop. All right, let's roll this thing.
When we came in, transitioned straight out of the water onto the bike.
All right, girl. I'll be up with you soon.
Went into a 12 to 13 mile ride to get to her first checkpoint for getting resupplied. Had no problems there, obviously. And then after a small break, we took back out, and I stayed with her for a while. And probably around mile 40, 41, 42, she started having some issues. And she was getting really dizzy, had a headache, was feeling nauseous, and was really pushing. It was really a big challenge for her to continue at that point. Any little bump in the road and she was hurting. And I had her stop, and we were probably at mile 42 when she took a break, and she just said she didn't feel well at all. Later we look back on it, and I think that maybe she swallowed a little bit of that lake water. It's possible. It really wasn't that hot, it was warm, but I think it was probably the lake water that was getting her. We continued to push, and she finished up the last 8 miles. And at mile 50, it ended at the house. She came off the bike and she looked at me and she was just like, I can't do this. And her face was pale. And I said, let's just take it easy for a second and put some ice water on her head and kind of just let her cool off, get something to drink. She came up and laid down on the ground, and I could sense that she wanted to, but she was a little scared. And she didn't know what to expect as far as what she was feeling right now, and knowing that she only had 8 miles to go, and I think she was a little nervous about getting started. So I just went and I got a drink, and I sat down and I said, look, why don't we just start walking, and you tell me how you feel, and if you decide you can't do anymore, then we'll stop. I said, but I think if you stop now, you're gonna start second guessing everything else. So let's just see how you feel after a mile. And that's the moment. That's the moment when magic happens. When you see a person at the end of their road and they don't have anything left, and they say, it's so much easier to say I'm done. But they make that decision to say I'm not done and keep going. That's when I get inspired. That's whenever I feel my heart race, that passion. And she stood up like a champion and started walking. And man, I was so proud of her. By mile 2, she hit a stride and she was knocking it down, and I said, oh my God, she's a warrior. And 30 minutes went by, 40 minutes went by, and she was crossing that 8 mile mark. And I just, it's a feeling that I can't explain unless you've been there. Until you've pushed yourself to a point you don't feel like you have anything left, and you find somehow that inner strength to get back up and keep going, that's exciting. That to me is whenever you're seeing life for what it really is. That's when you know that you're in the moment. That's why I do this. That's why I want to be a part of this with her. And honestly, seeing her cross that finish line is going to be much more exciting, much more fulfilling than when I crossed the finish line myself. The pride I have, just knowing that she's doing this for her, she's doing this for her family, and she's proving to anyone out there that has a dream that you can do it too, if you're willing to put forth that effort. So I'm excited. I can't wait to see this October 9th cross that finish line. It's going to be great. Good job, girl. Hey, bring it in right here, sister. You feel good about that one. Woo! 1.5 miles. What was that, 1.5 miles swim, 50 mile bike, 8 mile run. That's your first big try day of 2016. That's the furthest distance you've done since your last Ironman attempt. That's a good day right there, sister.